All rise.
You're the jury, y'all.
People.
Okay.
Judge King Ahasuerus Shermdog presiding. Please be seated.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Calling the case of the chosen people versus Haman. Are both sides ready?
Ready for the chosen people, Your Honor.
Ready for the defense, Your Honor.
Will the bailiff please swear in the jury?
Will the jury please stand?
That's you guys.
That's you guys. Wing. Do each of you promise that you will fairly try the case before this court and that you will return a true opinion in the verdict according to the evidence and the instructions of the court? Please say, I do. Please be seated.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant has been charged with conspiring to kill the Jews of Persia. The evidence will show that when Mordecai, a proud Jew, refused to bow down, Haman
You're supposed to be impartial.
was infuriated. He resolved to take revenge against all the Jews. The defendant is accused of falsely accusing the Jews of Persia of treason and building gallows with the intent of hanging all the Jews in Persia.
That is not true.
Quiet you. Based on blind hate and intolerance. Only through the heroic deeds of Queen Esther and Mordecai.
Yay!
I will close the court if I hear one more word.
Only through the heroic deeds of Queen Esther and Mordecai. You didn't hear a thing, Judge. You didn't hear a thing, right? Was this evil plot discovered and the chosen people's safety assured? The evidence I present will prove to you that the defendant is guilty as charged. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, under the law, my client is presumed innocent until proven guilty. During this trial, you will hear no real evidence against my client. You will come to know the truth that Haman was just protecting the king and the kingdom from people who would commit treason and refuse to bow down to the king because of their religious traditions. As you know, after his promotion to prime minister, Haman was bestowed the honor of having every citizen of Persia bow when he appeared. Haman was just trying to do the right thing by enforcing the king's decree. Therefore, my client is not guilty.
The prosecution may call its first witness.
The chosen people call Queen Esther to the stand.
Please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony shall give you the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Please state your name.
Queen Esther of Persia, wife of his honor Ahasuerus, and king of Mordecai, the hero who once saved our king.
You may be seated.
Would you please tell the court about how you came to be Queen of Persia?
As you know, after Queen Vashti refused to dance with the king and left the palace, King Ahasuerus held a contest. Though I had no desire to be the queen, my cousin Mordecai insisted I participate in the contest, though I made no special preparations like the other women. The king immediately took a liking to me, and I became the Queen of Persia. But Mordecai warned me never to reveal that I'm Jewish, even to the king.
Esther, would you please tell the court about the message sent to you at the palace by your cousin Mordecai?
When my cousin Mordecai found out about Haman's awful decree, he sent a message to me at the palace asking me to go to the king to beg him to spare my people.
And how did you respond?
Well, I told him that I'd never be allowed to go to the king without being summoned first.
And did Mordecai send you a second message?
Yes, he said, do not think that you'll escape the fate of the Jews by being in the king's palace. And who knows if it's not just such a time that you've reached this royal position.
And how did you respond to that message?
Well, I agreed to approach the king, but I asked Mordecai to gather all the Jews in Shushan and let them all fast for 3 days and 3 nights. After this, I approached the king.
Please tell the court what happened next.
After 3 days of fasting, I gathered my courage and went to the king. What is it? Ahasuerus asked. What is your request? I would like to invite the king and Haman to a small feast I have prepared. I answered. So the king and Haman joined me that evening for a feast. During the feast, I asked the king and Haman to join me next evening for a second feast. There, I would make my request of the king. What is your request? A curious king Ahasuerus asked at the second feast. I pleaded with him. Please, King Ahasuerus, let the life of my people be spared, and let the life of my people as well. For my people and I are to be destroyed. Then I identified Haman as the evil person who wished to do this terrible thing.
Thank you. Quiet, you. Thank you, Esther. I have no further questions.
Does the defense have any questions?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. The prosecution may call the next witness.
The chosen people call officers Berezin and Stoller to the stand.
Please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony shall give you the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
We do.
We do.
Please state your name.
Officer Berezin,
And Officer Stoller, Persian Police Precinct SPU.
SPU. Spew.
no, Your Honor, SPU, Special Purim Unit. We investigate Purim and all Purim-related matters.
Okay. You may proceed.
Please be seated.
Thank you. Officer Stoller, would you please tell the court about your investigation into Haman's dastardly plot and the motives behind it?
Certainly. Once Esther came to us with her story, we immediately began our investigation by questioning the royal gallows builder.
Thank you for coming to speak with us today. We appreciate your time.
No problem. Always happy to help Spew.
That's SPU. Now, can you tell us about the most recent gallows that Haman hired you to build?
Gallows. What gallows?
These gallows.
Oh, those gallows. Biggest order I've ever received. I was pretty happy about it until...
Until what?
Okay, don't interrupt me. He didn't ask me to just build 1 or 2 or even 10. He asked me to build lots and lots, and then he told me why.
And what did he tell you?
He was gonna hang all the Jews in Persia. Can you believe it? All because he hated some guy named Mordecai who wouldn't bow to him.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Always happy to help Spew.
That's SP. It doesn't matter. Never mind.
Thank you. Officer Berezin, would you please tell us what happened next?
Well, once we knew for sure that Haman had it out for the Jews, we were determined to figure out why. Was he really looking out for the king, or was there something else going on? Would he really hang all of the Jews over a quarrel with just one guy? We had to find out more about this Mordecai character, and we knew just who to go to, the royal record keeper. She writes down everything that happens around here, and we needed to know if Mordecai had ever crossed paths with the king.
And what did you find out?
That Mordecai had actually saved the king's life. Shortly after Esther became the queen, Mordecai overheard 2 of the king's servants discussing a plot to assassinate the king. Mordecai had them reported, and the traitors were hanged.
And the king lived happily ever after. Did you enjoy that, Your Highness?
I love a happy ending, especially when it's mine. Was Mordecai rewarded for this fine act?
No, he was not, sire.
Your Highness.
Haman, just the man I want to see. In your opinion, what shall be done for a person whom the king wishes to honor?
Well, he should have royal clothing and a royal horse, and be taken by the king's finest noblemen through town, and saying, "This is the man the king wants to honor."
Great idea. Now go get the clothes and the horse, and do so for Mordecai the Jew.
Mordecai? Jewish.
Boy, he sure looks mad, Your Majesty. Hope he doesn't do something too silly.
Thank you, officers. I have no further questions. The chosen people call Mordecai to the stand.
Please stand. Please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony shall give you in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Please state your name.
Mordecai, cousin to Esther our queen, and royal rescuer of King Ahasuerus.
Please be seated.
Thank you. Mordecai, would you please tell the court about that royal rescue? Just how did you save the king's life?
Well, it happened like this. One day, not long after Esther became queen, I visited her at the palace. On my way out, I overheard two of the king's servants discussing a plot to assassinate the king. Oi, Gewalt, what a shanda that was. I reported what I heard and saw, and the traitors were arrested immediately. As a loyal citizen, Shushan, I was proud and pleased to be able to serve and to save the king. Excuse me a moment. I'm going for a cleanse.
Of course, take all the time you need.
Thank you. Thank you, that's much better now. Where were we?
Well, could you tell the court why you refused to bow down to Haman, the prime minister of Persia?
Well, you see, it wasn't so much the man himself as his fashion choices, Your Honor.
Fashion choices!
Fashion choices?
Yes, well, you see, the reason I didn't bow down was because Haman was walking around with a large idol hanging around from a chain on his neck. As a proud, observant Jew, I'm forbidden from bowing down to an idol. Oh, and boy, was Haman mad. He said he was going to take revenge against all Jews because of what I did. Between you and me, the guy could benefit from an anger management class.
Yeah, true. Thank you. And would you please tell the court how you were honored for the great deed of saving the king's life?
Oh, that was a great day. The king gave me royal clothing and a royal horse. And then Haman himself led me on the horse through the city's streets, saying, "This is done for the man whom the king wishes to honor." What mazel, it gave me such nachas.
And did Haman seem happy about this?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Overruled. Speaks to motive and character of the defendant.
Well, to tell you the truth, Honor, that's when I first started thinking the guy could work out some anger issues.
That's not true.
He was so mad. I was afraid he might have a stroke. God forbid.
Thank you, Mordecai. No further questions, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any questions?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. The prosecution may call the next witness.
No further witnesses at this time, Your Honor. The chosen people rest their case.
Is the defense ready with their case?
Yes, Your Honor. I call the defendant to the stand.
Please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony you shall give you in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Please state your name.
I am Haman. Excuse me. Formerly minister to His Majesty King A, and now Prime Minister of Persia.
You may be seated.
Haman, would you please tell the court about the bowing incident between you and Mordecai?
Certainly. As you know, after my promotion to Prime Minister, King Ahasuerus issued a decree and bestowed upon me the honor of having every citizen of Persia bow when I appear. Mordecai refused. Can you believe it? I mean, the nerve of that guy. Who does he think he is? Refusing to bow to me? Me? I'm Haman, Prime Minister of the great kingdom of Persia, and he's just a lowly Jew. I mean, I was merely protecting the king and his kingdom from people who wouldn't commit treason by refusing to bow down, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor. Treason is the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the king or overthrow the government. The chosen people have established that Mordecai was a hero who saved the king, not a traitor who betrayed him. The issue isn't whether or not Mordecai bowed to Haman, but whether Haman's anger and intolerance led him to attempt the murder of the Jews.
Sustained.
Haman, please tell the court how you felt when Mordecai was honored by the king for saving his life.
Unbelievable, right? The guy refuses to bow down to me, and the king honors him. Fancy clothes, a royal horse, the whole works. Then the king makes me lead him around the city. The no good, dirty, rotten. I mean, I was happy to carry out the wishes of the king.
And what of the accusation that you drew lots and rolled dice to determine the lucky day that you would implement your plan to hang the Jews?
That is a complete lie, Your Honor. Why, I'll bet he made it up to make me look bad.
Objection, Your Honor! Speculation! The chosen people would like to present this video as Exhibit A in order to prove that Haman did, in fact, draw lots to decide the day that he would hang the Jews.
Objection sustained. The video is admitted as the chosen people's Exhibit A.
So what do you think? How does the sixth of a dollar sound?
Looks like the executioner's out on a gallows building competition that day.
How about the 27th of a dollar? How does that sound? Ooh, should we draw it out? Should we draw out the suspense to Nissan?
Maybe we should, the sooner the better, you know? Let those traitors be swiftly punished.
Oh, you're right. I want those Jews to hang as soon as possible. Especially that Mordecai, that dirty, no good, rotten. I mean, I'm just trying to protect the king and the kingdom against those traitors who committed treason by not bowing to me and the crown.
Of course.
So how about this? Let's roll lots and we'll get ourselves a date on which we're gonna hang those Jews.
All right, sounds good. Wait.
13th of a dollar it is!
Hey, sounds good.
We found ourselves a date.
You know, Prime Minister, it's great that we have a Prime Minister like you who's not afraid to protect the kingdom from traitors at all costs.
You know what? I quite agree, my friend.
I have no further questions for the defendant, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution have any questions?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. I say that metaphorically speaking. The defense may call the next witness.
At this time, Your Honor, the defense would like to enter the following video as Exhibit B in order to prove that if Queen Esther had been truthful with the king from the start, none of this should have happened at all.
The video is admitted as Exhibit B for the defense.
I hope he picks me. Oh my God, I hope he picks me. Oh, I hope it's me. I hope it's me.
This is so stressful.
No! Yeah, I'm hurt. I'm devastated. I went through all this trouble to bathe myself, to lotion, to perfume. And what does she do? Nothing. I mean, I bet the king wouldn't even chosen her if he knew what I knew. I heard her over talking to that cousin of hers, Mordecai, the other day. And she said she was Jewish, and Mordecai told her not to say anything about it. That crown should have been mine.
So you see, Your Honor, if Esther hadn't deceived the king in the first place, maybe none of this would have happened.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Agreed. Objection is sustained. Counsel will keep their attention on the facts of the case and the actions of the defendant, not the witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
The defense calls Queen Vashti to the stand.
Objection. What purpose does her testimony serve, Your Honor?
We call Queen Vashti as a character witness for the defense, Your Honor.
I'll allow it, but proceed carefully. Remember my earlier warning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony shall give you the case, shall give in the case, before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Please state your name.
I am Vashti, formerly queen, and now ex-wife of King Ahasuerus.
You may be seated.
Vashti, will you please tell the court how you came to be the ex-wife of King Ahasuerus?
Why, certainly, I'd be happy to. As you know, the king was a bit merry with wine during the Shushan celebration, and he tried to make me dance for him in front of everyone. Well, I know Haman would never have done that. Just like he would never plot to hang anyone. I'm just sure of it.
Objection. Speculation.
Sustained.
Proceed.
Well, anyway, the king was just most displeased with me, and after that, so he just sent me away. You know, I'll bet it was all the plot after all. But not Haman's plot. I'll bet it was that Esther and her cousin Mordecai who did it. They just plotted to trick me and take my place in the palace.
Objection. Speculation.
Sustained. Vashti, will you please keep your opinions to yourself and answer only what you know to be true? Or guess what? I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, good. Proceed.
Vashti, do you have any information to share with the court about this case that you know to be absolutely, positively true?
Well, no.
She is to me.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. Does the defense rest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am now going to read to you the directions that you must follow in helping me decide this case. Each of you has promised that you would fairly try the case before this court, and that you would return a true opinion on the verdict according to the evidence and the instructions of the court. To prove the crime charged against the defendant, the prosecution must prove three things to you. First, the defendant plotted and conspired to kill the Jews of Persia. Second, that Haman falsely accused the Jews of Persia of treason. Third, that Haman ordered gallows built with the intent of hanging all the Jews in Persia based on blind hate and intolerance. If each of you believes that the prosecution proved all three of these things beyond a reasonable doubt, then you should find the defendant guilty. But if you believe the prosecution did not prove any one of these things beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find the defendant not guilty. This means that you must consider all of the evidence and that you're very sure that the charge is true. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, now it's your turn. What do you think? Is Haman innocent or guilty?
Guilty! Guilty!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for your service. The chosen people's court finds Haman. Thank you.
I should be king!
We are adjourned.
Yay!